Well, an industry report into the banking sector says it faces an uncertain future in the wake of the Royal Commission. The TAS survey of industry professionals says customers' trust is diminishing amid an increasingly technology-driven environment. TAS CEO Shane Baker joins me in the studio now to discuss the report. Thanks so much for coming in, Shane.
Thank you, Rachel.
We heard the RBA Governor there talk about some of his concerns with what's come out of the banking inquiry. What has this survey revealed about what the sector feels about the inquiry?
Sure, thank you. So in terms of the feedback that we got through the survey and in the report, so I guess there's two perspectives. So from the banking sector, they don't condone obviously the behaviour that's been picked up through this process, but what they are saying is they're concerned about the reputational risk that it has on the industry. And the other view that they have is the industry is not one. There is a variety of different organisations, ownership structures, there's mutual banks, credit unions, so they're worried about the fact that the whole industry is being tarred by one brush.
And of course, we've seen, I guess, a lot of growth and popularity of these smaller neobanks,
Yes.
fintechs. Is that a concern for those more established banks that have been around for a long time as well?
I think it's starting to cut through. There's certainly more recognition now that these fintechs, if you like, that are starting to have an impact and cut into their business. It's probably early days for them though, so I'm not sure that it's necessarily hitting the dial in terms of impact on those businesses, but they are talking about more partnerships with these organisations to be able to capitalise on good technology.
One of the other things that I think came out from the inquiry was banks and the role of government. What have they said about that?
So again, they understand the role APRA plays and they absolutely support that, but they think that in certain areas it's over-regulated, other areas perhaps not enough. Again, it goes back to this broad one view of how they approach the financial services sector. So a lot of the feedback is you can't treat the small businesses or the mutuals, for example, the same way as you would a tier one bank. So that's generally the feedback that's coming through the report, that if you can better understand individual organisations and the role they play and I guess regulation more aligned to sort of businesses they are individually.
You mentioned that, of course, one of the major concerns is the reputational damage. What are banks doing to try to alleviate that?
Well, I think that was just covered in the last story very nicely. So they want to put customer first. You put customer in the middle, focus on what's best for the customer, then everything will sort itself out from there. So the focus for the coming year that's been fed back, better utilisation of technology, transparency, better engagement with customer.
And what about those big banks that are global banks as well? Are they having an impact on our local bankers here?
Well, the report certainly suggests that there's concern that there are more moving into this marketplace. The general feedback that we get from the industry is probably more around the social media platforms and the role they may play in financial services because of the relationship they have with the customer. And I think that goes to that point again, the better relationship you have with the customer, the more data you have on the customer, you're in a better position to be able to service the customer. So I think that's really where the concern is of the impact that it may have on the Australian market.
Shane Baker, the CEO of TAS, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.